Hey, everybody. This is David Barry, your host for our Money Matters show. This is episode 17. And as always, we're bringing the news to you. And by the way, this show is going to be dedicated to Kelsey and Bob. We're helping them move out of the LA area into Southern Nevada. And Monty, you've been such a great help for these guys. They're so happy with you. I'm happy with you. And it's just great to have a team of people that do this every day and help people relocate out of California and live the life of freedom like Terry does down in Florida. Terry, speaking of Terry, good morning, Terry. How are you?
I'm great, David. It's mid-September, so it's cooled off. We're not in the mid to high 90s anymore with 90% humidity. We're in the 80s these days, getting a ton of rain. In fact, so much rain that my internet's a little spotty. So if I lose you, I'm going to lose you. So, but
I
that's
got
okay.
you.
I'm free in Florida.
And the fact that Monty is a national lender, he's licensed in all 50 states. He's got a big family. He lives in Texas. He's living the American dream for sure. But I mean, the fact that Monty yesterday, for an hour, Monty was on the phone on a Sunday away from his family to try to help my family that's moving out of California to Las Vegas. Monty, thank you for yesterday and thank you for helping Kelsey and Bob. They really appreciate you. And we're just so lucky and blessed to have you. Good morning, Monty. How are you?
Yeah, morning. Doing great. It's just what I do. It's the way I was trained to do it, to care about people and help them with the biggest decision many of them make. There's a lot riding on this. And as we talked about with Bob yesterday, there was information that we shared that he didn't know was even possible, ways to buy now instead of needing to sell first. So, yeah, I love bringing education and teaching people how to get what they really want, even if they think that's not possible at the moment.
And Terry, before we dive in today to all of the statistics and we give you the right information so that you can make good decisions on moving or leaving or staying, I have to bring this up, Terry. Tomorrow night, probably be the most watched televised TV event in the history of TV. It's going to be a big day tomorrow. What are you thinking about tomorrow night, Terry?
I don't know. I don't. The final episode of MASH got a
No,
whole
no,
lot of
no, no,
views.
no,
So
no, no, no. It's not that. To all of our
yeah,
listeners, you probably
it's going to be an interesting thing to watch. I agree. I think it's going to be very much watched, and I think both sides are going to say they won. And I think the expectations are very low for a certain side, and we'll see if she can get three words put together in a row. I think they'll say it's a massive victory, and she's going to ride the tidal wave to success. So
So
that's
you,
what
are
I
you are you gonna have a salad? Oh wait, she's gonna have a salad. I don't even know what I don't know. But anyway, let's dive in, Monty. What's going on? And I want to just try to help educate our members as we do every week. And so they're listening. And by the way, our viewership is growing like crazy. So we always ask if you like our show, please like, subscribe, and share and comment. And thank you guys for everybody supporting us because really at the end of the day we're supporting the Leaving California community. And by you sharing this, it helps a lot of people have that freedom that we always talk about. So, Monty, what's going on in the news?
Yeah. Well, last week we had a full week of jobs data, and that showed that the labor sector continues to slow, while another appreciation report revealed that the national home values are still rising. So we got both things happening. The big news was that BLS report, the Bureau of Labor Statistics, they reported that there were 142,000 jobs created in August, which was below what they had estimated at 160,000. The negative revisions, though, the thing we talk about, we went back and we said 816,000 jobs were revised. We continue to get crazy numbers of revisions, and so that this was no exception to that. June and July, they shaved off 86,000 jobs from those months. That meant that the unemployment rate fell from 4.3 to 4.2, but that was for the wrong reasons. So I want to go into that a little bit more, what all of this means. There were signs of the labor sector weakness throughout the whole report. The headline jobs number was below the estimates, while the year-to-date revisions have cut about 365,000 jobs from the data. So that is dramatic. We had 206,000 jobs in June when they reported it originally, and now they're down to 118,000. So nearly 50% off in what they said were created. Just Crazy how that happened. In addition, the number of part-time workers in August rose by 527,000. The full-time workers fell by 438. So let's think about the 527 part-time, the 438 full-time dropping. The problem with that is they take those two numbers and they put them together, and it makes it look like we got new jobs. This is great. It's really not. It's sad. The American family is not able to find a full-time job, and therefore they have to go out and work a part-time job, or they have to get multiple part-time jobs. And so they count those multiple part-time jobs as multiple jobs. When I lose my job, my corporate job, and I have to go work at Kentucky Fried Chicken, McDonald's, and Burger King, I just created 3 new jobs. And so the jobs report says, well done. You know, man, there's 3 new jobs out there. No, Monty Phelps is working 3 jobs late at night to try to make ends meet. So that's not good. This
Monty, can I
also
ask?
means that,
Can
yes,
I,
please.
no, I want to, because I believe it's one of those situations where people are like, well, it's not going to happen to me. And I think a lot of Americans wake up and they go, it did happen to me. I can't believe this happened to me. And the other thing is I remember back, there was many interviews with Jerome Powell, and the interviews were saying, and they would always put him to the fire, and they would say, so are you saying that the only way that we can have success is if a lot of Americans, he never really wants to admit that, yeah, I got to put a lot of people out of work for the economy to get better, but it
Yeah.
seems factual. And at the end of the day, is that what he was really trying to do and hurt all of our fellow Americans, like, and put them out of work so that the economy could be better? Like, what is that? Why does it have to be like that? I hate that for our brothers and sisters. What do you think?
Yeah, it is sad. And yes, that is true. It means that the unemployment rate declined because the data counts people who are working part-time jobs when they couldn't find full-time jobs. And so when that sinks in, when you think about an actual family, I grew up with a guy. He ended up playing Major League Baseball, but his dad worked at Kentucky Fried Chicken and McDonald's and a factory job. He worked 3 jobs just to put that kid in the latest baseball cleats. Now that kid did go to the major leagues, so hey, maybe it paid off. But for that man, that was 3 jobs, and it's hard.
Mm.
Yep. The other thing we want to talk about is the cooling consumer inflation that we've seen in these recent months. The way that that's combined with these signs that the job market is slowing down, that's all led to these growing calls of what we've got coming next week, September 18th, with the Fed cutting that benchmark Fed funds rate, that overnight rate that banks use to borrow from. That's what that Fed funds rate is. We know that that's going to get cut next week. And so this report that we got, the BLS, was really crucial for the Fed to get ahead of that meeting on the 18th, because that weak report is going to keep them on track. It's going to keep them knowing that, yes, we did not want a strong jobs report to come out and Jerome to decide, hey, maybe we shouldn't do this yet. Maybe we should just wait. So thankfully, everything is on track. So if you were worried about that, know that this was good news from that
Hold
perspective.
on
Sad news, but
one
yeah.
second, Terry. I know you have a point, but I have to make this point. This is so important. And I just realized this, Monty, that when they announce that there's going to be a rate cut, that's when our clients are supposed to take action. Most
Mm.
people think you're supposed to wait till the day that the announcement happens and then you get active. But really, the benefits are when the announcement is made. And
Right.
maybe you could touch on that. And then I know, Terry, I know you got something back there, but go ahead, Monty.
Yeah. So you're saying they need to act now. I would agree. It by the time the rates get cut, by the time everybody knows about it, it's kind of too late at that point to get as good of a position.
Exactly.
So this is your last week to jump in there, make a decision, talk to one of the best realtors in the nation. We pride ourselves on having those. We have a mastermind tomorrow with 30 of these top agents across the nation. We pour into these people. We're helping them. They're helping each other. So don't just go pick some random realtor. Ask us, hey, who is that person in Modesto, California, or in Los Angeles, or in San Francisco, or in Knoxville, or in Dallas, or wherever you live, Timbuktu? Ask us, and we'll save you a lot of time, hassle, and money.
Go ahead, Terry. What you got?
I was just going to say, I'm going to make a prediction, and I could be wrong, we know the Fed is likely, very likely, to cut interest rates next week. Now, they say that the Fed is not political, but we also know that if Donald Trump gets into office, he has threatened to fire Jerome Powell because he doesn't like the way he's running the Fed. Well, I'm going to guess, this is just my prediction. I'm going to predict that the Fed's going to say, hey, we're getting huge cuts in the amount of jobs that were actually created in all these revisions. We're going to cut it a half point. We're going to cut a half point. We want to juice the economy now because they want the economy to be improving as we get towards the presidential election. They want the stock market to rebound as we head towards the presidential election because I think Jerome Powell has decided who he wants to be his next boss because that other person will probably keep him as the boss of the Fed. And they're going to do everything they can to juice the economy right before the election, which is, again, that's going to put things into chaos because there's a high likelihood that would also, if they start cutting rates too fast, we're going to get inflation back. And let's just also remember, just because inflation has stabilized or come down doesn't mean prices have. It drives me crazy when politicians say, oh, inflation's dropping, but that doesn't mean prices are dropping. Prices are still 20 to 25% higher than they were 4 years ago, and they're just going up not quite as fast as they were. But anyway, as the economy slows, so we're in some precarious times. If you're living in California and you think things are challenging now, just wait 6 months. You're going to have dropping interest rates, but you also may have dropping values in California because I'm telling you, people are not staying in California. They're leaving. And you're going to move to places like Tennessee. Knoxville, Tennessee probably has 50% higher home prices today than they did 4 or 5 years ago because people are moving there. So don't sit on your laurels and think that this is just going to get better and better in your favor. Now's the time to start really considering getting the heck out of there.
Well, I want to thank you for that advice, Terry. And I wanted to let everybody know, I don't know if you guys know this about me, but I taught Taekwondo for almost 35 years. And as an instructor, and that's what we are, we're educators. And I have been retired from teaching Taekwondo for about 6 years. And I focus solely on relocations and helping people through real estate. But the interesting thing about education, and I used to learn this a lot, Monty, I don't know if this happens to you, but you hear something multiple times and you hear different people say it, and then it resonates with you, and you're, oh, and then maybe after the third or fourth person that says it, I finally get it. So I have an analogy today for you, Monty, and I finally get it. And it was so simple because I just did the math, and I'm kind of a math guy, and I know, Monty, you're a numbers guy. But basically, what somebody had shared with me is that if the interest rates come down 1%, that means that home prices go up anywhere between 7 and 10%. And so, and what this person had shared with me was that if you wait for the interest rate to come down 1%, you actually will be paying more for the same house. And you thought that you were supposed to wait for the interest rate, 2 or 3 years or 4 years, and you're actually paying more money now. So, Monty, you say this every week on every show, but I'm going to ask you again. Can you break it down for us?
I totally can. And I brought an example today to show everybody what that would look like. If we took a house at $500,000 today, anywhere in the nation, doesn't matter, $500,000. And let's say you're going to take 20%, $100,000 and put that down. Again, anywhere in the nation, doesn't matter. You've sold your house in California and you are now going to buy this $500,000 house today. And let's say that your rate is 6.75, which it's probably not going to be because rates are already below that. They're falling. Depending on your credit score, we can get something better than that. But let's just say worst case, it's 6. Next year, these homes are only going to go by 7.5%. We think it'll be much higher than that. Let's say 10%, but let's just say it was only 7.5% that it went up. Let's also assume that by next year, at the same time, the rates have fallen 2%, which we don't think they'll fall that far that fast, but let's say that they did to be conservative. So you got a 6.75 today on a $500,000 house. You got a 4.75 next year on now a $537,500 house. That's 7.5%. So all that went up. By waiting, to David's point, you are now $54,223 further behind than you would have been if you just went ahead and bought it and then you refinance down once the rates dropped. So that's shocking, I'm sure, to you as it was to me the first time I realized the appreciation dwarfs the interest rate. If we change a few things in this example, like what we think is actually going to happen, then I would say it should go up by 10%. So now you're 75,000 behind. If rates only fall 1% in the next year, then you're 89,000 behind. It's somewhere between $50,000 and $90,000 that you are further behind by not buying now and waiting and hoping that interest rates will drop. So please don't make that mistake. I don't want you to lose nearly a year's worth of income just because you didn't pull the trigger, leave California, and buy a house now.
Monty, on that point, when you say behind, I just want to clarify to our listeners
Mm.
that $50,000 to $90,000 behind means $50,000 to $90,000 in equity. And that's
Yes.
what we've been talking about for our entire series. Every week we talk about
Yeah.
this, that the way to get ahead in America is through home ownership and
Yeah.
wealth. So $50,000 to $90,000 in equity. Whose equity is it? It's your equity. So you get it. Or you can continue to pay rent because you think you need to continue to wait for the interest rates to come down, but then you get no positive gain. Terry, what do you think
Mm.
about that?
I think that's a great example of why you should, if you're on the fence about leaving California, you know you're going to leave at some point. Now is the time again to start looking at least talking to Monty, get your ducks in a row financially. The other thing I wanted to say is, all right, we used a $500,000 example. There are plenty of homes around the country that you can buy for 200, 250, 300,000 also. My
Mm.
realtor here in Central Florida tells me that I can buy a nice brand new home in Ocala for $250,000, brand new home. So don't think that those deals, just because we're using 500,000, that's for people who have a lot of equity in their home in California. But if you've been renting in California, things like that, there are homes that are less expensive around the country in great places to live. Great places to live. So I just wanted to throw
You
that
can
in.
also put less money down than 20%. I can
That's
customize that
true.
tool for anybody. If you want to call me, we can build your exact scenario, 3%, 5% down, whatever the case is in your price point.
And this is a bonus edition. So for those of our listeners, because this is a special week, we've got an interest rate coming down. We have the debate
Mm.
happening tomorrow. So we're doing a bonus edition. And Monty and I were talking yesterday, and I believe it was Saturday. But one of the things that Monty and I were talking about was a lot of you guys, especially Californians, you guys have a lot of money wrapped up in equity. And I want you to think about this. And Monty was going to share a tip about it of how you can give your wealth, because you can't take it with you guys. I wish you could, but you can't take it with you, but you can give it to your kids. And one of the greatest ways that you can help your children have wealth is through giving them money and helping them buy a house. Monty, you want to touch on that?
Yeah, there's so many ways to do it, but the simple one that most people don't realize is you can co-sign with your kids on a house. That will help them qualify now instead of waiting till their income goes up or till the rates go down. You could give them that 50 to 90,000 in equity by helping them buy now. If you do that, there's one specific loan. We call it the kitty condo loan. And that just means that you are co-signing with your child. It's your kid's primary residence. It's not your primary residence. You are what we call a non-occupying co-borrower. So you're just co-signing with them. We can pull you off of it as soon as the rates drop and we refinance. As long as they qualify at that point, you can be off of it. So you might be on it 9 months, 10 months, a year, and then we're pulling you right back off, and you've given your kid $50,000 to $90,000 of equity that they wouldn't have had otherwise.
That's great advice. And then the last tip that we wanted to share with you guys is some of you may be saying, my mom and dad don't really have anything. They have never owned a home, or I don't have parents that are rich. So one of the other angles that we have is maybe you have a best friend, maybe you have somebody that you could go in partners, but you want to stop paying your landlord's mortgage. I actually wrote a book. It's called Freedom from Rent. And I'm so passionate about this that I decided to write a book about it. But if you're paying your landlord's mortgage, you are not paying for your own future. So, you want to talk about that just for a second? Like if I had a best friend or something, would it be better for me to go in partners with my friend, my relationship, whatever it is, as opposed to paying rent? You want to share a tip about that?
Yeah, for sure. So you're either paying your mortgage or somebody else's mortgage at all times, and your interest rate is either 6.75, 6.5, or it's 100%. If you're renting, it's 100% you're paying somebody else's mortgage. At least if you buy your house, it's in the sixes and you're paying your mortgage. So you're building wealth, and all of that interest is tax deductible anyway. If you look at somebody like Warren Buffett, he's going to tell you you buy when other people are scared, and that time is coming to an end. We got about a week left of that time before that's going to quickly go through like a bunch of sand going through an hourglass. So, yes, get with your friend, as David said. Get with your girlfriend, your boyfriend, your brother, your sister, whatever. Go in together, buy an investment property, rent it out to somebody else. You know, we don't even need your income on an investment property. That's the crazy thing. We have a special loan that's a portfolio loan to where you qualify based on that house, what you could rent it for, and what the mortgage will be, as long as they are close to each other, within like 25% of each other, meaning the mortgage could be higher than even what you're going to get in rent. It could be. That's not ideal. But even if that was true, you could qualify. We don't care how much money you make because we're treating you as a real estate investor, and we're knowing that you're going to build wealth. We're that confident. So where there's a will, there's a way. You just got to call me. We got to talk, and then I'll customize this stuff to you.
Well, you know, I always say that don't just listen to me, don't just listen to Terry, but for sure you want to listen to Monty. Monty deals with more realtors than I mean, when I first met Monty, I couldn't believe how many relationships he literally has across the United States with professional realtors. And he doesn't work. I mean, I guess that's kind of mean to say, but he won't work with people unless they're high producers, unless they really know what they're doing and they have assets like a relocation guide for their city. And they have a buyer's guide that explains to them the process. So you know, when you're choosing the realtor, it's really important that they have all the tools that they should, they have the knowledge. And it's good to have somebody like me. I've been here since 1975, since before most of you were born. Not just kidding. But anyway, I think this has been a great show. Terry, in closing and wrapping up, do you have any final comments that you want to share?
Yeah, just know that again, we're talking to people who want to leave California. If you want to stay in California, again, you can talk to Monty. He can refi you when rates get better. He can also help you through the process of finding the right realtor to sell your house. We can do that too, but we're here to help. We're not here to other any ulterior motive. We're here to help people. That's what all three of us genuinely wake up each day saying, "Who can I help today?" And so we have a lot of resources available to us. You don't have to go through this blindly, and there's a lot of people out there who want to help you live a better life somewhere else.
100%. And Monty, in closing, any final thoughts?
Yeah, with 9 days to go to the rate cut from the Fed, they're going to be watching, the Fed is going to be watching closely the consumer inflation data that's going to be delivered this Wednesday on September 11th. That's going to be the August consumer price index. And then the producer price index, the other PPI, this first one's CPI, the second one's PPI. That one is going to measure wholesale inflation. That one's going to be on Thursday with the latest jobless claims data. So the Fed's going to get a few other reports 1 week prior. It's going to give them something to go into that meeting on the 17th and then closing on the 18th with data. So we'll break that down next Monday. What did CPI show? What did PPI show? What did the jobless claims show? And that'll be just right on the start of that meeting.
Well, thank you. Excuse me. Thank you, everybody. This has been episode 17 of Money Matters, and we really appreciate you sharing our videos. We want to hear from you, so please comment. And if you want more information about certain things, we are more than happy to share. So reach out, make comments, share, like, post. Thank you guys for watching. Have a great week. Enjoy that debate tomorrow. It'll be very interesting. I'm sure we're going to talk about it a little bit next Monday. Have a great week, guys. We'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.